hello there, wherever you may be. I was about to sing a hymn at that
Hello.
point. It was, sounded as if I could have got into a hymn. How you doing, Piccia?
I'm very well. How are you, Nathan?
Yeah,
I know I have this new setup. My previous non-posh camera was up there, and now it's here.
I know.
But
It looks.
my monitors are here, so it's gonna be fun.
I see you're going to be sort of like staring over here and there. It looks
Yeah.
fabulous, I've got to say. I like the fact that you've got greenery. I've completely eschewed all forms of greenery and just gone for white paint.
But you're a bloke, innit?
Well, maybe that's it.
You're a bloke.
Yours certainly looks a lot nicer. But I think we both got nice new cameras as well, so that's
We
fun.
do, yeah. Yeah.
We're here to talk about UI and UX. Just before we do that, if there is anybody watching live, we never anticipate much of an audience for this one, but you never know. If you are watching
Well,
live, it would be lovely if you felt like sharing it, and the best way to do that would be to share our live stream URL, wpbuilds.com/live, wpbuilds.com/live. Just go and say to people, oi, Piccia's on the telly. Piccia's on the telly. Come and watch and talk about UI, UX. And the intention of this show is to kind of a blend of ideas, really, but to use Piccia's extensive experience with all things design and UI and UX, and to give sort of critiques of websites sometimes. Sometimes we've decided to stare at dark patterns and fall under their spell and then dispel that spell. I don't know how many times I can say spell in one sentence. And then at other times, she might be talking to us about, whole design ideas. Like she talked about maybe brutalism would come up today. I don't know. I don't even know what brutalism is. So sounds painful.
You are about to find out. Isn't that exciting?
Okie dokie.
Yes. So basically, for me, it's wonderful because it gives me an opportunity to talk about design, but not by myself.
Yes. Is that what you tend to find happening? You talk because you're a public speaker as well, aren't you? But you're talking at an audience, and then the audience get to come back with your Q&As at the end. Whereas this is more me and you having a chatter, isn't it? Which is quite nice.
Which is great. But yeah, last time I did a talk for WordCamp WordPress Valencia. I was responding to the comments as they were coming in.
Yes.
And that was so much more fun. People were really involved. In the end, we had a really long conversation at the end, because I really am not, I'd much rather it were a conversation rather than just a lecture, Well, because I don't actually even think I know more than others necessarily, or maybe someone will say something really interesting. Why would I miss out on that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, with that in mind, if you are watching this and you fancy making a comment, obviously Piccia would love that. If you are watching this on the replay, tough, you can't. And the best way to do those comments is to head over to one of two destinations. That would be to go to either wpbuilds.com/live. If you go there, then you need to be having a Google account because it's got the YouTube comments. And if you're into Facebook, you can go to our Facebook group, wpbuilds.com/Facebook. I don't really know in the Facebook UI how you find the live video other than just scrolling until it appears. But go there. And if you do manage to be in the Facebook group, then you need to authorize yourself with this URL, chat.restream.io/Facebook, because that will enable us to see your avatar and username if you wish to do that. Okay, Piccia, what have we got in store today?
So today, I was thinking about websites that, in theory, should be failing miserably, but in practice, they are not. And that led me on to a whole new train of thought, which then led to the Brutalist thing, which we'll talk about. But as I also like to do, accessibility will come into play as well. And then I have a few dark patterns that I've collected. You haven't collected them, have you?
No.
I'm gonna remind you to collect dark patterns.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've seen a lot this week, actually. Quite a few.
Why did you not collect them?
Well, I know. I will try because they were so dark. I could barely look at them. That was the problem. That's an
Actually,
excuse.
I have one that is so dark. I don't even know whether to show it because I know the person who did it and she's really lovely. And to this day, I don't know what possessed her. So it is so bad that I think if she sees it, I don't want for her to, I don't know. It's one of
Well,
those cases because we were saying last time that you should definitely name and shame, that there's people who use dark patterns don't deserve any consideration because they don't have any. But then in this case, here am I contradicting myself because
yeah, you want to protect your friend. Interestingly, though, if you do remember, during the course of this week, I did actually send you a link to a Radio 4 show, which is a UK show, where they've actually done a whole half an hour show on the radio
you
in the
did,
UK about
yeah.
dark patterns, and it was really interesting.
Aren't we trailblazers?
I
We
know.
talked about it
A week
before Radio
before.
4
That's
did.
right. Yeah, we're so good. So the
We are
intention then
so
is to
good.
share a few dark patterns, but also show us some websites which, by all accounts, ought to be a complete failure, but for some reason they are a success. I think that's a cool idea.
Let's do it.
Okay, do you want me to share your screen?
Yes, let's do it. Now, here's the first one.
This is great.
It's so great. I haven't checked in the Wayback Machine. It's called the Wayback Machine.
That's right, the Wayback Machine, where you can look at sites from different. You could go back to sort of 2008 or so on. Yeah,
or even further back. I think. Sorry, turning the icon off.
it's okay.
And this, I mean, we could be in 1998. When did he actually start it?
I don't know. I just know that it's a chap called Craig Newmark, and he was one of the trailblazers, wasn't he? I think he was on the west coast of America, California, possibly San Francisco. I'm not sure. And he put together this sort of what we would have described at the time as kind of like a classifieds website where you could list your stuff for sale. And my guess is that the website hasn't changed one bit in the last decade.
Yeah, but you know what? It wasn't even that. He was new in San Francisco, and so he didn't know anyone. He was lonely. So he got together a list of people that he would write to, I hope emails, rather, I think emails, saying, oh, this is what is going on this week for those of you who want to join. And it started with like 10 people. Then it went up to 100, and then people found out about it and asked to be put on the list. And then they started saying, given you have a list, can you please tell people that I've got a car to sell? So that is how it started. And it's one of those cases, I mean, think of better done than perfect.
Yeah.
And it's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, it goes against everything. There is nothing here that is the way it should be.
It is extraordinary to me that this is successful, but my understanding is that it immediately became successful and has maintained its success. But it is incredibly plain. I mean, there's just no thought for design whatsoever, is there?
None. It's just simply not designed. And I mean, I'll have a quick look at the things that shouldn't be. I mean, you know how I feel about center text, and you can see how here it doesn't make any sense that this is centered because this isn't, and this isn't, and this isn't, and this again is. I don't know why, but then everything looks exactly the same. So there's no differentiation between any. I mean, the only thing that is a bit different is the categories are in bold. That's the only thing. Contrast is actually, let's wave it. You know the.
Oh yeah, you mentioned the Wave app from last time. Yeah.
Well, 2 errors is really not very much. Contrast errors. I just wanted to check the. Yeah, it's a more or less a pass. Yeah, the color contrast is a pass. And then, no, the structure is a bit crap. New York City's. But I mean, does it matter? I mean, this shouldn't even be heading. What should they be? I don't know what they should be in terms of hierarchy.
I guess the thing about this website is it's just got such a dedicated fan base now that it doesn't really need to do anything. It's already established itself, and it established itself in an era where that probably was pretty cutting edge design. That was the
Yeah,
limitations of what was possible,
yeah.
and just
But
about every other website in the intervening period has gone with modern trends, updated countless times, and they've just taken the opinion, actually, it works. Let's just keep it.
so what I find great is that if I take the styles off, it doesn't actually change that much.
No, no, it's just yeah. I mean, it's just a bunch of text links, isn't it? That's really
It
all it
is.
is, categorized under some different headings. And so there isn't
Yeah.
really a lot to change. I mean, you could obviously adapt it and make it more modern with different color palettes and what have you, but why bother? Imagine the money they've saved over the years with leaving the design exactly as it is and
And
not
that's
paying consultants to pontificate about which color to use or whatever.
exactly. And he's made loads of money as well. But
Yeah.
I tell you, and also, hang on, Craigslist is hiring. I think that it's got like 50 employees.
Wow.
Like nothing, nothing.
Well, I mean, it is really a bunch of links on a website, isn't it? You've just got to submit your whatever it may be. I'm guessing that it was a case of being the first mover. I know that you've described the story
All right,
and
with
how
him.
he made a list and it became popular kind of organically. But I'm guessing that if he'd have been 2 years later to the party, somebody else would have probably built this out and made it all jazzy and what have you. And maybe he would have missed that first mover advantage, but he
I
didn't.
don't know though, because I think when things are truly organic, they just do work somehow.
Mm,
And but the point is that he was there at the right time. Do you know what I mean? He just
mm.
was. So, and I'm just looking. I mean, people really do use it. And oh wow, God, I love. Don't you love classifieds?
Looking at
I
other
just
people's
love them.
houses.
I love it. I love it. And I always go and scope out locations because you never know. I might move to Long Island. I mean, I'd love to live in New York. So, but look, people are really using it.
Oh,
They
it's
are.
it's absolutely enormous. Yeah, it's
It's
completely
enormous.
gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was checking it in my area, and there aren't, and in London. I mean, in my area, I live in Spain, and also in London. Um, and it's not as big. But then I looked at London and I found, my dream car is up for sale. I just have to find 4 grand and go get it. Really,
So
my dream car is for sale in London.
I've never used it in the UK, and I've never heard of anybody using it in the UK. I feel it's like a North American thing largely.
It is, but you would be limiting yourself because actually it is used more than we think. It's nowhere near as big as it is in North America, but it is used.
Mm.
And one thing that I found really interesting when I was reading about it is that there's a whole generation of people that found their life on Craigslist, which made me think, but we were that generation in London with Loot.
Yes.
It's a London thing. Is this just a London thing, Loot,
I
or
do.
was
I
it?
was living in London at the time when Loot was around. So Loot was a paper-based equivalent. You could pick it up. Was it
Yellow?
free? You could just get it for free, right?
It was a free paper. And I
Yeah.
mean, I've been to Loot weddings, and I met heaps of mates because you're all the same. And actually, it's quite so funny. I think it's in Spaced, Spaced with Simon Pegg.
Yes.
Absolute legend. If anybody, get yourself, if you're not in the UK, get yourselves a VPN, log on to Channel 4, pretend you're in the UK and watch Spaced. But it was about, I think they look, but basically the protagonists meet and they're both looking for a place to live, and they pretend they're a couple because it's much easier if you're a couple to get a place. And I'm pretty sure they look in Loot. But see, nowhere
Yeah.
near. No, you can't know my location. Nowhere near as charming as this.
Which was the second one?
What this?
Yeah. What's that one?
Loot.
So that's the Loot modern website. So they've gone online. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that. And
yeah.
they've
They've
obviously,
gone
there's
online.
images everywhere. There's all sorts of the regular stuff that we would expect to see in order to draw you in.
Just boring. And you know what's really sad? Because I was very much hoping that it would have the Loot header. Loot was yellow.
Yes.
It was yellow, really thin paper, and it had a really distinctive header with a logo. Where is the Loot logo?
Oh, it's
I'm
sadly.
lost. I'm the Loot generation. It's tragic. Where is it? Why? Why? And then they've got all these stupid ads. Clearly, they've lost it. They've
If
lost.
you
See,
were
it started in 1985, so in the 90s. But yeah.
if you were in charge of Craigslist, if Piccia Neri was employed as the design person for Craigslist, would you at this point be saying, "Don't do a
No way.
thing, don't
Don't do a
touch
thing.
anything"?
You cannot touch it. You
Huh.
cannot touch it. The only thing to satisfy my OCD would be to align this.
Yeah.
That would be, but that would be it. I wouldn't, I mean, also, I guess I would have a look, I would have a better look at the accessibility. That's something that I would definitely do. But I mean, things like, for instance, these are links, they're not underlined, but anyway, there's familiarity with something like this. You know, familiarity is very important when you design. That's why doing fancy novelty menus, for instance, is not recommended, because navigation is where people need to find things quickly. So if you make it harder because you're trying to be clever, that's not a good idea. So why did I end up talking about navigation? Sorry,
I don't know. I don't know. One thing that strikes me though, if I was to show, so imagine that site didn't exist and Craigslist had never been used by anybody ever, and this suddenly appeared on the internet, you'd presumably have quite a lot to say in terms of what's wrong with it. I mean, the first thing that occurs to me when I look at it is that there's just too much on the page. There's nothing. I mean, we're constantly talking about, navigation and making the website easy to use and putting things behind menus and categorizing things.
Yeah.
It's all there right in front of you, and it's totally overwhelming. So by all accounts,
Totally
it
overwhelming.
should not work. But I'm guessing
should
it's
not
just a
work.
set of muscle memory. You just go to that page, you kind of know roughly whereabouts the links are going to be, and you click on them because
Yeah.
you're familiar with it.
I am wondering, actually, I would like to test this and get a really young person, someone, my nephew who's 16, to look at this and see what he thinks. Do you know what I mean? Because we're used to this. We were around.
Yeah, I'm guessing that if I showed it to my children, they would almost kind of laugh at it, because they're kind of brought up in an era where everything is designed. There's a lot of thought put into the design. I think they would find this almost a bit kind of Microsoft Wordish, and probably would be unlikely to use it right off the bat. No images right on the homepage. There's a lot of reading to do. You got to figure your way out and so on.
I love it, though.
So
Look.
I'm guessing that my younger children wouldn't wish to use it.
Look, we can go to a stand-up comedy show in Bushwick. I love it. It's so easy. I think, I mean, look at this up here. It's just such a mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is so easy. Events on Wednesday, February 23rd, next day, previous day. Easy. Calendar here. What's on next week? I love it. And look, it's got this. The filters here are great. What if I want something literary? What's going to happen? No, nothing. See results for all days. Perfect.
It's really fast.
It's really fast. It's
really
got no
fast.
rubbish to slow it down.
Yeah.
No rubbish.
No images.
About the content, I wonder whether they keep archives, how far back the archives go, whether they delete. That's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. How does it behave on mobile would be, especially that homepage where you had a million different links. I mean, that's an exaggeration.
I haven't tried, but I can try.
Let's have a quick look.
Should I just make the window smaller?
Yeah, let's
see
just
what
do
it does. Not much.
Not really, but it's not unusable, is it? It's equally it's equally bad.
It's equally weird. Oh, look, it's got mobile here. Oh, I
Oh.
think it's got a different site for
Oh
mobile.
my word. We're back to
Like
that era.
properly old school.
It looks exactly the same to me. I don't think they've
I
done
think this
anything.
is going to be very small on mobile.
Yeah. What about the sort of homepage where there were all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of links?
Right. Oh,
Oh,
see,
that's intriguing.
that's good.
So they've actually put things in sort of an accordion by the looks of it, or is
For
that just a link?
sale. Yeah, but it's different. I think it's actually different. Is it different headings? For sale jobs. This is more generic.
Okay,
Okay.
then it drills down. So they have made an attempt on mobile to make it slightly different. Oh, and then if you go back, oh, I see. You clicked the mobile button, didn't you? So
No,
now
but oh yeah. Okay, hang on. Yeah,
how do
but
we?
it's still, how do we get out of okay, we're
There
back
we
because
go.
I
Now you
just,
want to
yeah.
go back to the home page and see if the links are still the same.
Bizarre.
No, you're stuck now. You see, you've broken Craigslist.
How do I get off the mobile?
I
Oh,
don't
look
know.
here. Look. That's stopped. Can you
There
see
you
it
go.
at the
Click
at the
that.
bottom? Amazing.
Communities. No, they're different. Housing, community services.
They are different. For
So
sale. Or
there
maybe
is.
for sale came first, which is weird because of the way they are. The columns come. It seems weird that for sale would come after.
Okay. Well, the point being, they've got a completely separate mobile site in the same way that we used to do back in the day before sites were responsive. We
Exactly.
had to build completely separate sites.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they've stuck with and just don't change it. Anyway, I mean, nobody could deny that it is unbelievably popular, has no business being popular, except that its utility is amazing. It's
Yeah.
completely utilitarian, but and it doesn't look particularly great. But in this case, who cares? It gets you what you want quickly.
Yeah. And it's just charming. And this is what, I mean, if you're talking about brutalism, which we'll get into talking about in a second, this is what it is. Now, brutalism is an architectural movement that doesn't come from being a brute or brutal. It's from the French for cement, which is béton brut. So the brutalism from that. I mean, the South Bank Centre in London is brutalist architecture. I absolutely love it. There's an Instagram account called Cats of Brutalism that you must follow. It's brilliant. So as a trend, this brutalism has come back in the sense, although it has a split personality. There's a Smashing Magazine site that talks about that, because brutalism, I mean, Craigslist is the maximum proponent of brutalism, but because it's actually from the 90s, it means that it's not even brutalism because it's not a trend. It's the way it used to be. A brutalist website is a website that is made now, but that follows this kind of principles, meaning that there's hardly any CSS and everything is just in a HTML structure with things coming one after the other.
Yep.
But there's another side to brutalism that is more the GeoCities, blink, 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 gradient kind of nightmare. And we're going to have a quick look because it's so much fun. It just, that brutalism trend I love.
Okay.
In a way, it's very silly, but there's a guy who wrote a brutalist web design guideline. So you can see this is brutalist. It's actually, the thing is that brutalism is accessible because it doesn't do anything stupid. So let me actually.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the WordPress 2020 theme.
Yeah, true. But look, 0 errors, 2 contrast errors, but sometimes the app makes mistakes. So 4 alerts. I mean, it has no errors. Look how good the HTML structure is. It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's got asides.
Everything's nested.
It's got asides. I mean, it's just perfect. And I bet the contrast. Where are the contrast errors? 2 contrast errors. I don't see them.
Maybe you click on
details.
Click on the contrast. There you
2 very low contrast. Oh, it's not even. Okay, I mean, it's minor, it's like nothing. So this guy has the rules, the guidelines for brutalism. Content is readable on all reasonable screens and devices. Only hyperlinks and buttons respond to clicks.
Huh.
Hyperlinks are underlined and buttons look like buttons. The back button works as expected. View content by scrolling. Decoration when needed and no unrelated content. Performance is a feature. I mean, this is basically a web design manual. If you just do this, you've done a good website.
So the idea being that everything does as anybody would expect it to do without any you click on an image, it does nothing. It's just an image. Its purpose isn't to send you anywhere. Its purpose is to look smashing on a page, nothing more. And
Exactly.
I funnily enough, I know quite a few people who are now making websites like this
Well,
because
they are.
they just see it as the quickest way to get things going. And if your content is just text content largely, what's the point in dressing it up with a super complicated design sometimes?
Look, I love what he says here. A website's materials aren't HTML tags, CSS, or JavaScript code. Rather, they are its content and the
Hmm.
context in which it's consumed. It's content first approach. A website is for a visitor using a browser, running on a computer to read, watch, listen, or perhaps to interact. A website that embraces brutalist web design is raw in its focus on content
Hmm.
and prioritization of the website visitor, which is good UX. Basically,
Yeah.
it's all that it is. So this is a really great website, Brutalist web design, and then it goes a bit more into the guidelines, what they are, and so on.
I
So
guess it's got its
yes.
place in that it works very well in this instance because in this case, this person is trying to demonstrate brutalism. But you'd kind of, as a designer, you'd be out of a job if every website was exactly the same as this and everything was done in a brutal way. I guess if you're just putting out text-based or simple content, this is a good way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, in the sense that if content is just, if you scroll down for content, you could argue that there isn't that much to design, but I think that there is anyway. But this is, I don't know, I mean, we could go further, but I want to show you the other side of brutalism. I mean,
Ooh.
this website, the awards website, is where I go to when I want to find examples of what not to do, honestly. So this is obviously excess because it's brutalism. It's the other side of brutalism. So we saw this. This is the real brutalism. Raw content, true to its construction. And then there's this. And I'm going to find, look at that. I mean, honestly,
I should say for anybody who's listening to this after we finish recording it that what is the URL for that? It's awards.com, awwwards.com, and then brutalism brutalist websites. This is great. This is comedy.
honestly, it is comedy. Let me find it. Okay, this one. You remember this type of site, yeah?
Oh, yes.
You know? So it shows, what is it? Adult Swim.
That's a bit rude in places.
I hadn't noticed the rudeness. So, I mean, and actually, if you remember, I think Marvel, yes, Marvel as in Marvel Comics, did oh God, I think I've got the notes somewhere. I can't, it just came to my mind now. They did a GeoCities type website for to advertise one of their films. I don't know, because I'm not really that kind of, I'm not, oh, look at this. I mean, even just looking, So I love the ones that are. Look at this. I mean, what?
So how does this, because this looks so different to me from the brutalism that we saw a moment ago, um, how does brutalism encompass both of the things that we've looked at, where there was obviously a heavy reliance on text, there was no nothing quirky or unusual, links were underlined, it was very straightforward and easy to comprehend. This is something quite different. How does this fall under the banner of brutalism? What definition of brutalism allows both of these things to coexist?
Exactly. It's because it's sort of a wink, if you want, at Flash websites at that era of the web, at GeoCities, that kind of ethos, that kind of modern ethos aesthetic. Sort of really. There's this article by Smashing Magazine where it says, it's either no frills or flashing neon frills with sprinklers attached. So that's one of them. So this article talks about that, but then it says, you go from Craigslist, Wikipedia, and so on, and FreeCycle, but to websites that do something completely different. And they are intentionally uglier, as it says here, but they are sort of on purpose. You make everything blink. The way that people started making things blink when suddenly was possible. So that's it is a wink, if you want, at a certain early age of the web.
I
You
kind
see
of
what I
am
mean?
drawn to, I'm drawn to the original one. I find the ones that we're looking at now
No, they're
quite
terrible.
yeah, well, quite hard to look at almost. They're kind of um I don't have the vocabulary that you do to describe these kind of things, but they almost seem like they're fairly violent. It would be a word that I would use. They're sort of they have an aggressive feel to them, in that you want to the person putting these websites together would like to shock me and make
Yeah.
me kind of recoil from what they're doing. And I guess there's a purpose to that, in that it has a sort of visceral reaction. But my reaction to a lot of these is I wish to step away from them fairly
Yeah, I know.
quickly. But I guess some people are drawn in by them.
It's a trend. It's a trend. I always found it fascinating. And when it was happening, this is, I guess, then when you get into it, something different happens. But do you remember when a lot of sites were like this?
Yes.
So that's why. But obviously, they're completely non-accessible. There's nothing accessible about this. Even about this page, this is completely inaccessible, and it's a trend. This was interesting.
They're fun to look at, but they're not the kind of things that I would be drawn towards. I guess I just like my designs a little bit more on the gentle side. That's hard
You
to
and me, yeah.
hard to
Anyway,
see.
look, honestly, it's just insanity.
But are people still making these, or
Insanity.
is this just a blast from the past? Do you still see this sort of stuff popping up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still
Okay.
happens. Look, Meg is saying, I did a whole away weekend training in Flash, company mandated, just after I had my first child. So my husband had to come with me. Still makes me cringe.
Yeah,
Thinking
this
about
feels like, because Flash enabled you to literally
it.
put anything anywhere.
Yeah.
In Flash, you could drag a donut into the middle of the screen and make it shake,
And
and you
people
weren't.
would just do it because you
Yeah,
could.
but you weren't constrained. The canvas was not HTML markup. The canvas was whatever you could throw onto it, and it could cope with it being anywhere. So it was more like a blank sheet of paper, whereas HTML markup and then CSS and tables and whatever we had at the time, there's a real constraint. Everything starts top left and has to be designed to be not top left. Whereas with Flash, you could do absolutely anything. And so I do remember these sites, and there was quite a lot of fun animation going on.
Okay, so what they're trying to do is this.
Yeah.
They
Oh
are
my
trying to
goodness.
be Ling, but Ling is a genius, and no one else can do what she does. No one else can do what Ling's does.
I seem to remember on one occasion long ago, you raised this website again, and I showed it to my kids, and
I do it whenever I can.
they literally wet themselves with laughter. They thought this was the most hysterical thing. But do you know what? They spent significantly longer looking at this website than they would ever have spent looking at any site to do with cars.
Yeah.
They were drawn in by the ridiculousness of it. I mean, look at that. Good grief. So we're looking at the markup. If you look at actually view source, she's actually drawn a picture of herself in characters.
She's a genius. You know, she's a millionaire. I mean, she's probably a billionaire by now.
Literally no surprise, but it is so jarring and so ridiculous.
I don't know why it's white here. It should have the same pattern.
You might have some sort of ad blocker.
This is This is talking about websites that shouldn't be successful but are. This wins. It just wins because I hate things that move on screen and I can't stop. It's one of my pet peeves, and I just tell people, just don't animate stuff unless you have a very good reason. But for some reason, this website doesn't make me sick.
How do you ever find anything on a website like this, though?
But they do, though, because she makes millions.
I know.
And she was the first to come up with this concept. Years ago, I found out about it. Basically, it's long-term rental. There's no outlay. There's no, initial investment. You keep a car for like 2 years and then you return it, and it's like renting it, really, but obviously much cheaper. And she did it 15 years ago, and I didn't even know that
she was the first person to do that.
Yeah. I think so. She went to what's it called?
Dragon's Den, that show on the telly.
Dragon's Den, and they all wanted to invest in her, but she wasn't happy with the terms, so she just said, no, just gonna do it by myself. And she just stuck it to them because she completely aced it. And there was she used to have a feed in her live stuff. You can see that you can meet. Look, isn't she amazing? Meet the staff, chat to the staff. The staff is she used to have a feed of her. You could see her. Yeah. Sorry. She used to have a camera feed.
Like literally a live feed of her in her office.
I love it. Yes.
That's so hysterical. But looking at this,
staff are not listed in any order and can be replaced at a moment's notice. I pay my operatives a bloody fortune. So the least they could do is smile. Are they smiling? No. I love
it. If you look at this website, it fails on every metric that you would probably throw at it. Certainly from a design point of view. I mean, it may load incredibly quickly.
Actually, very few errors.
Really?
Very few. I mean, you see lots of websites with many more errors, like 100.
Okay, so in terms of usability, it passes, but in any sense
Not
of
really, doesn't.
In any sense of design and usability.
Sorry. Never have autoplay video on your
yeah, I mean, she just disobeys it all, right? But how do you explain that something that is, because there's always an exception to every rule that we understand, but in this case, it's so wildly strange that you almost okay. So if this website was to come about now and Ling had never sold a car in her life and then suddenly brought this to market, I feel it would be a flash in the pan. It would be one of those things where people said, oh, that's curious, isn't that funny, and never went back again, because the experience is probably easier with other websites.
I'm gonna refresh because it annoys me that we can't see this. Yeah.
But you're kind of drawn to the personality. So I feel like the website has a personality of its own, which a normal website, which may be easier to use, doesn't. So you kind of give all this weirdness and the difficulty that you're going to be presented with a bit of a pass, because it's just so much fun to use.
I love it. I think I've used it to, well, as I always use it as an example, but it's important. I tell you what, the point is that the various design rules that I talk about, the Gestalt rules that I've done talks on, all those things, a lot of them are relevant to a Western audience, and
Oh,
rule change entirely in other parts of the world. One of them is Asia. They and it can't and I it's something that I would really love to understand better, because it can't be just a matter of taste. You can't just say, oh, they like it that way. And I think that also Japan is probably has a different type of aesthetic, but again, it's not, because Japanese design is so linear, and so they have a different I think mindset. But it can't be just taste, because one of the things that I always say is that the design that I teach makes sense. It's something that you can go to clients with and present facts,
yeah.
why that explain why they shouldn't make the logo bigger. So in the case of Asia, and I'm thinking about China in particular, Ling is from China, it can't be just that they like it like this. It has to be that in other parts of the world where their mind is organized in a different way, because also they read in a completely different way from us.
It was quite interesting. One of the gifts that one of my sons got for Christmas was he was given a box. It was a cardboard box, and it was Japanese sweets. So it was just rammed full of Japanese sweets, and so it was things equivalent to chocolate bars and candy, or whatever you might call it. And in the UK and in North America, they're very sort of plain packaging. I say plain, they obviously go to great lengths to make them as exciting as possible. But man alive, when you opened up this box of Japanese candies, it was a total assault on the senses. The packaging was so different, to the point where we literally stared at the packaging for like 15 minutes, just passed them around and marveled. And I thought to myself, that's really curious, because it must be that this stuff sells. This must be because this was like the top, I don't know, 15 selling candy bars or sweets in Japan. So it's selling like hot cakes. But to my palate, the wrapping was like so weird.
I know. But that's the thing. It's weird to you.
Yes.
And so we can't, there's no way we can judge, because ultimately, if you think of how complex the signs that they use for their, they don't have an alphabet. They don't even have an alphabet. They just have ideograms. Therefore, their organizational skills, visual organizational skills, have to be completely different from ours.
Yes.
So yeah, you can't. I always actually make it clear. I say, yeah, whenever applicable, I make a point of saying this, by the way, of course, only relates to a Western language audience and Western visual culture, because I really can't comment. And it came up, someone in I gave the talk in Spanish at my local WordPress meetup here in Valencia, and someone brought that up. He said, we're working with China. I mean, what do you think about a place like China? Because his sister was living there, and he was saying, I mean, the websites there are astonishing. And
totally different.
someone jumped up and said, I have a Chinese client and it's a nightmare, because they ask for something like this. And who are we to say that it doesn't work better for them? And then actually, she's the living proof. It drives me mad. Also, I don't even know if it's a button, because everything is flashing. So it goes against everything.
Yeah, a couple of things to raise. Firstly, imagine the content management system that is in use on this website. Imagine how unbelievable.
Oh my God.
I'm kind of at the point where I'm guessing that each page is built individually and is just built out of little component building blocks. So that's the first thing. Second thing that came to mind was when I first went to. So this is a very subtle thing. So if we go to China or Japan, the whole design ethic might be totally different, and it's remarkable to look at things. I remember going to North America, to the United States for the first time, and noticing how typography was subtly but totally obviously different. The packaging, it would have a logo, like you buy a tin of toothpaste or something, a tube of toothpaste, and the logo would be the same, but you flip it to the back, and the way that they put their text is subtly different, but in a totally obvious way, such that I think that if you gave me a United Kingdom product and an American product, and they were identical, but for those different two markets, I think I could pick it out 100% of the time, because it's just a tiny tweak. This is a different palette in the United States for a different kind of font, and it was I found that everywhere.
Yeah. How interesting. How yeah, it's the tiny things, isn't it?
Well, it was
How
it was
interesting.
largely that they were. I don't know what it was, but the font seemed to be more squashed in. Have you ever had to fill out an American form, a United States sort of tax form?
Yeah, I
They
have,
really
yeah.
like to squash in
Cram.
the text, which over here is a very different thing. We sort of space things out slightly differently.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. There's Ling. Look at her
I
go.
But I mean, if I had known, I didn't know when I was in the UK, I would totally have done it. I mean, it just makes complete sense. And
You
she's
mean
got good prices to
yeah?
do long-term rental. It just
Yeah,
makes sense.
my suspicion is if you built this site now, you'd totally fail because Ling's already linged it. There's no other Ling to come along.
No, there isn't.
You'd have to do something a little bit different.
Yeah. No, there isn't. There isn't.
And
But I mean, this is effective. This is better than my bank, because my bank has something similar, but they only have like very limited range of cars. And I mean, if I wanted a red Audi, it's really easy to know what to do. Do you know what I mean?
I
It's
cannot
amazing.
imagine being in charge of putting content on this website. It would literally be so difficult. What do you mean, Ling? Where? Oh, you mean you want a new thing? Oh, a new. All right, we'll try another new thing with a big arrow, right? Okay, we'll have
I love it. I love it so much. Now I don't live in the UK anymore. Otherwise, I'd get a car through her.
Yeah. Ling's cars. She's totally brilliant. Bless her. Have we got any others?
Bless. Well, I was looking at the obvious ones. I mean, oh God, the source code is genius. Anyway, so I was looking. Well, I looked up loot, hoping it would be like Craigslist, but it's not. Yeah, I'm
Given a choice,
disappointed.
here's an interesting thought. If you had to use Craigslist or Loot, you've obviously seen Craigslist quite a lot earlier, or Loot there, which would you go for instinctively?
I think I would go to Craigslist.
Would you? That's
I
interesting. I
think
would
so.
definitely choose Loot.
Look, housing's so easy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Here.
I think I'm just a sucker for a bit of color and an image.
So am I, but then again, it's not particularly. I mean, I hate that this is on someone's face.
Okay.
They've done, the image here. I mean, they've given it a drop shadow rather than making the image dark enough, which is rubbish. And why am I seeing? I'm seeing things that are no of no interest to me, just because I don't know. It just doesn't. And I have to look for things here that they're hidden, whereas here it's here. Look, if I want to buy a car for sale, cars and trucks in New York City, there you go.
Are.
And once you learn, look.
Yeah, it's like I was saying earlier, the muscle memory kicks in and you go back to Craigslist.
If I want exactly the same page, but in London, look how easy it is.
You just
And
replaced
here's my
the
dream
string,
car.
did you? Okay. Yay!
Yeah, I just replaced. I mean, basically, every city. This is the car I want. Every city has that. I think.
Is that actually the car you want, or were you being sarcastic?
No, I'm not being sarcastic.
I love
we used
that.
To have
Look at it.
We had two Dianes. My mom had a white Diane in the 70s, and then in the 80s and 90s, until my sister totaled it, we had an aqua blue, like a green Diane. And this is great because look, it's a van. I can have a little thing in. I can put a little mattress in the back.
Yeah, you can go on your camping trips. Yeah, that's very nice.
Absolutely love it. One owner from you. Look.
Yeah. So
honestly.
Craigslist for the win, then definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm drawn to the loot thing just because it sort of seems to satisfy my well, what I'm
But look,
expecting for a website to look like in this day and age. But
even the
obviously,
listing of favorite hide, which is very useful if you've seen it, flag, share, previous, next, when it's posted, where it is, all the important details here,
yep.
odometer, condition, fuel. It's
Oh, well, he's
fantastic.
done
I
very
like
well
it.
out of it. It's Craig Newmark, is my understanding. Craig Newmark, who has
Yeah,
done
Craig
extremely
Newmark.
well
Here he is.
listing people's product. There he is. Look, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
So this
philanthropist
is,
now.
this is UX. This is also how you do UX, and I think it's probably better than this. Already, it's like, what the hell? I
Yeah,
mean,
you got the
does
big cookie
Craigslist
warning.
not even have cookies?
They, I would
Can you
imagine,
not have cookies?
I would imagine they do, but maybe they don't. Maybe they
Decline
just don't
or
even bother with that because they're successful. Why waste time checking the analytics if
tracking?
you're already successful? Oh no, oh, the
Honestly, I think they're
eBay.
a
There they are.
big lesson to us all. So here we've learned from Remkus that I should just go decline all. I mean, eBay, they. So here's, there's the dreaded slider. I mean, I can stop it though, so that's good. So again, I mean, this is a site that has so much. Where does it even start from? Don't
Yeah.
tell me that this is clearer
Yeah, that's a good point.
than this. It's
No,
not clearer.
no, you are
It's
right.
not.
That's a really novel thing for me to realize. It's not
Look at
clearer.
this.
It's nicer for me to
Look at,
look at, but it's not as straightforward to navigate through. You are right. Basically, Craigslist is a giant menu,
yeah. And
one giant
therefore
menu.
it's very clear.
And I think I would rather look at eBay or whatever else you would like to show us, loot or what have you. But I think you're right for the muscle memory. Once I've got through Craigslist and done it a couple of times, I think it would be more utilitarian. I could get to where I wanted to go much more quickly. That's really interesting. I'm guessing though that if anybody tried to, nobody's going to come to you as a design agency and say, we'll build you something like Craigslist. I bet this has been tried 1,000 times. And for some reason, the magic just worked with Craig.
Yeah. So, for instance, Gumtree, which was loot after loot, I guess it was loot online. Before loot went online properly, then I got my cats on Gumtree, for instance, in London. You're already annoying me. Why on earth? Why do I have to either register or log in? There's no way for me to not have this here. No way. So
That
this is
popped
a
up, did it?
dark flipping
Ah,
pattern. It's not even a box that pops up. I can't close it. There's no. I can either sign in or register or bugger off, and that's probably what I would do. So I'm not going to accept, am I?
wow.
So
That is
we
quite an
now know.
impediment.
So reject all. Oh, okay. So that's gone now.
Okay.
Unless it comes up again. But so this is invasive because anyway, I do not find it clearer. I don't find this clearer than this.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Isn't it
You've
interesting?
converted me. I like the aesthetics. I like the look of these other sites more, but I get that you can use the
But they're just super banal. There isn't even anything great about them. I mean, do you remember last time we looked at not Gumtree, but Gumroad?
yes.
And that looks lovely. That's
Yes.
Brutalist. This is a version of Brutalist because it's basic in a way, because it's very flat design. It's been listed as a Brutalist website.
I do like it. I think it's fascinating to look at.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Adventure Time, which I said before, but you probably won't remember what that was. It's a kids' cartoon from the sort of 90s, I think. It's kind of.
I wasn't. I was
No,
too. I was.
no,
I was.
that's
I was
right.
too old in the 90s.
Hey, have you got any of the dark patterns to quickly share?
Yes. So I have got. So I've got the one that is so bad.
Oh, this! If you say it's so bad, I
Hang
am
on.
waiting with bated breath. So, just for anybody that's listening, a dark pattern is something that kind of makes you take an action that you maybe didn't wish to take. It kind of trips you up and interrupts your thought process a little bit. Maybe it's putting a green button over the decline, and what you actually mostly want to do is decline or accept, and it's just sort of tripping you up and trying to get you to do something you didn't mean to do. And so you found a good one, have you?
It's so bad. Okay, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it. The person who did this, I'm obviously not going to say who it is, but it's a very good person. I should be able to just hang on.
This looks like Typeform or something.
I can. Okay. So
it wasn't what I was looking at.
No, it wasn't. That's something you can use for Chrome. It's called. What's it called? This M stands for moment. I don't know. It just gives you different photos every time you do a new tab. Oops. Should have really turned the phone off, shouldn't I? Sorry.
That's all right.
So I was saying, so I'll give you the background to the, okay, sorry. Every time, okay, sorry. The phone rings, if the headphones are also connected to the phone, then the music app, so the phone rings, I don't answer or I answer, doesn't matter. Then the Mac starts the music app.
Oh,
why? I do not know. I do not know. Anyway, so I'll give you the background to this dark pattern that we're going to see. Someone I know who's a lovely person was selling she's a cancer survivor, and she wrote a book about it, and she was selling the book. And the book, she was selling it, and 100% of the proceeds would go to a charity, to a cancer research or something charity.
Sounds very nice.
So I bought it. It was I think it was Thrivecart or something like that. Anyway, I think I recognized. So I've checked out, and now here, this is the bump offer.
Let me have a quick look.
This is the bump,
okay.
Bump offer. So changing our cancer story is hard for patients, survivors, and their carers. Check what. So basically, this is cancer coaching, and someone has had cancer coaching, and she's saying how great it was. So here it's, yes, I want to help to change my cancer story. Clicking here will add to your order immediately. By clicking above, a total of £397 will be added to your order. And already it's like, what? And look how tiny this is. Look how super small. And 300, not £3, 397. And also, and look at this. No thanks. Please do not add this life-affirming offer to my purchase.
Yeah, I feel with this one, if it was like you said, £3 or £4, that would feel like, okay, whatever. Let's just figure out how to go back and delete that from my account. My personal opinion about a £400 bump that I kind of didn't know that I was going for is that's kind of breathtakingly
wrong.
I don't want to use the word arrogant, but it's kind of not many people are going to make a £400 purchase on the strength of clicking a button without any thought. That's just a lot of money.
After a £10 purchase. Also, how do you know? Yeah, the book is £10. I've just bought the book. It's the checkout from the book. This is the bump, the upsell offer.
Yeah.
And also, it's assuming that I have cancer. I want help to change my cancer story. I don't have I don't have cancer. As far as I know, I don't have cancer. And
touch all the wood everywhere quickly.
Touch all the wood, but and I mean, and then clicking here will add to your order immediately. And look how tiny and how little contrast there is here when he says by clicking above. It's just crazy.
So
and then here the copy. What's really terrible is the copy. No thanks. Please do not add this life-affirming offer to my purchase. This is bullying and emotional blackmail of the lowest order. I'm really sorry, because I know the person who wrote the book, and she's lovely. And I've since posted about, I don't think she realized what she did. I think that someone else did it for her. I can't believe that she did it, or that maybe someone told her, oh, it's a normal a marketing thing. Everybody does it, but and maybe someone said, "Oh, but this is converts," you know. But it's the worst, one of the worst I've come across because of the subject matter, which is particularly, if you are, I am extremely lucky, but if you're not as lucky, then you can't tell someone, do not add this life affirming offer to my purchase, and it's £397.
Yeah, I guess that for me is the big thing. If honestly, if it was a £3.97 upsell, I'd probably jump through that hoop and then figure
Yeah,
out
I
how to
would.
unpick it. But it's the kind of assumption that everybody's got 400 quid sitting around in their back pocket, and
Also, to do what? It doesn't actually
I
even
know,
explain
yeah.
properly what. And
So the takeaway here
what
is don't make the big button. Don't make the upsell has to be. You have to buy into that, not be tricked into that.
Exactly. And also, do not do an upsell of £400 for a purchase of £11.
Yeah.
And do not use the copy. But what I really object to the most is, I mean, I don't know, because it's all equally bad, but here, no thanks. Please do not add this life affirming offer to my purchase is what it shocked me.
Yeah.
Because it's terrible emotional blackmail. And maybe if you do have cancer, maybe you can't work and you don't have that kind of money. I don't know. I mean, everything about it is so bad. I'm just going to close it because
that
I feel
is a pretty
sad.
bad one. That one was pretty much as bad. I mean, it's following a dark pattern trope that we've seen 1,000 times. So from a design perspective, it's similar to what we've seen a million times. To me, it's the extraordinary disconnect between the purchase price and the upsell price. Yeah. What's this?
I mean, this is just to end with something funny.
Oh God!
This is an actual car. This is the indicator. I mean, where is it going? I don't know. I love it. Is it going right? Is it going left? It's actually designed like that. So that's an arrow that's indicating to the left, but it's actually the right hand side indicator.
Do you know what it is, Piccia?
I do. I think it's a Mini.
But do you know why the indicator is shaped like that?
Yeah, the British flag.
Yeah,
I imagine.
it's shaped to look like the Union flag.
Union flag, yeah.
Because I saw one the other day and I thought, that's weird. What is that? And then I got closer and I could see that it was kind of all the different parts of the light were shaped in such a way to make the Union flag. But you're right. I was thinking, what? That's pointing the wrong way. I saw that and made exactly the same assumption.
Did you? So you saw it in the wild. How cool.
Yeah, there's somebody nearby that's got one.
In terms of actual utility to anyone, it's a bit like the blue British passport, isn't it? Taken 27 countries out of it, but it's blue.
We needed that blue passport so badly. It was so important that we got that blue passport.
So important.
We threw ourselves under a proverbial boss for that. So there we go. There's this month's show. I don't know what the date for next month is, but it'll be in about 4 weeks' time. What did we decide? Was it going to be like the last Tuesday?
We say the last Tuesday of the month normally. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be back in.
To learn, that's the camera.
It'll be yes, yeah. You'll get there. You'll figure it out.
It's the first time I actually use it properly.
It looks. Let me just get rid of the screen and look. It's beautiful. You've got that lovely. I think they call it bokeh effect.
Because it's I mean, the focus is still playing up a bit, and I need to tweak the lights for sure, because I just literally, and you can't see what's behind me, and it's mayhem because I was very close to that wall, and it was playing havoc with the lights, obviously, because it was bouncing on the white wall. So I've moved everything, and I had to move everything. So yeah, it needs.
So this is the room that you've always been in. You've just moved the camera further away.
Yeah, in the past, since November 2020. Yeah, I've been here.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. Well, we'll be back in 4 weeks' time or something like that. Maybe we'll talk about dark patterns again, but we'll certainly be talking about UI and UX. And I'm going to end it there. Is there anything you want to say? Have you got any courses open at the minute or Twitter handles that you want to throw at us?
So you have to tell people that they can submit their own sites and their own dark patterns, and you need to put the link there, please. There you go.
There you go.
So that's great.
If you
Yeah.
want your so imagine a scenario: you built a website and you are slightly hesitant. You think there's maybe a bit of it that you would like to have somebody look at. Well, Peaches offering herself up for free for people who would like that to happen. And it may be that you just want the whole site looking at or one particular aspect of it. wpbuilds.com/UI. There's a form there. And if you fill out the form, then it will go straight into Peach's inbox, and she will consider it as one of the ones to go onto the show next month. We're also looking for dark patterns. So if you see something akin to that we can take apart and kind of mock, then please submit those as well. It's the exact same form. So wpbuilds.com/UI. And we'll be back in about 4, possibly 5 weeks' time. But it'll be on a Tuesday because we've decided to do them always on a Tuesday. So, Piccia, anything else you would like to promote personally?
Well, there's many ways you can work with me if you want. I can do proper reviews. I do UX, leading the UX process for your builds, or you can buy my courses if they were up for sale, which they are. Anyway,
I don't have say, that's a really dark pattern. Buy my courses. They're not for sale. You can buy. Where do we go? Is that designforgeeks.com?
It is, but I don't want people to go to the website because it needs a redesign. So it's all a mess. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll just connect. I mean, I'm so rubbish at my own marketing, really bad. Just connect with me on LinkedIn and let's chat.
Okay, that sounds good. Find Piccia on LinkedIn, Piccia Neri, PICCIANERI. And we'll see you this time in about 4 weeks' time. See you.
Thank